Okay, for today we'll have theoretical foundations in nursing. Okay, week 16. Okay, this is for week 16B. Let me just make it my presentation better. Okay, okay, for week 16, we'll have Abraham Maslow. So Abraham Maslow is a very prominent theorist in the nursing profession, and again with for his biography, he was born on April 1908. Maslow later described his early childhood as unhappy and lonely, and this was one of his reasons of developing theory. Okay, developing a theory for um, human needs. Okay, so let me just check if we're recording. Okay, then we have here he spent much of his time in the library and immersed in books. Abraham Maslow began teaching at Brooklyn college in 1937. And of course, during his 1950s, Maslow became one of the founders and driving forces behind the school of thought known as humanistic psychology. So he focused on human needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay, is a motivational theory in psychology comprising a five-tier model. So this is very prominent. It is just like the hierarchical levels of a pyramid. From the bottom of the hierarchy upwards, the needs are physiological. We will discuss it later. The food and clothing, the safety for the job and security, and the love and belonging needs or belongingness or friendship, esteem, and self-actualization. Okay, needs lower down in the hierarchy must be satisfied before the individuals could attend to the higher up. So this is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So before you could be able to the assumption, okay, the assumption of Maslow, okay, is Abraham Maslow is you have to fulfill first what is down here before you can finally before you can finally meet or before you can finally have self-actualization. For a human being, Maslow believes that we need food, water, warmth, and the rest, and these are our considered our basic needs. And sometimes, okay, since these are our basic needs, we have to note that our patient needs first this one before she or he could proceed to safety and security needs. Okay, so the safety and security, okay, of Abraham Maslow is very important before the patient could finally have the love and belongingness or intimate relationship, okay, or a friend. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay, is one of the prominent theories because nurses believes that we should fulfill first the physiological needs of patients before we could finally uh help the patient to develop, of course, self-esteem and self-actualization. Okay, but the order of the levels is not completely fixed. There are sometimes that esteem outweighs love, while others may self-actualize despite of poverty. So hindi pa rin talaga siya fixed. Okay, our behaviors are usually motivated by multiple needs simultaneously. And as a human being, we have noted that every human being is unique and we have needs that are arising every time. Okay. So when we say the safety and security, okay, the safety and security, okay, or the safety needs of a person, it could be fulfilled by police, by school, by business and Medicare. For example, emotional security, pwede ding financial security. Example is your employment, your social welfare. It could be law and order, or a freedom of a person from fear, or social stability, or property or health and well-being. So after physiological and safety needs are fulfilled, then we'll have the love and belongingness. And we know that examples of love and belongingness are friendship. Okay, examples are friendship, intimacy, trust, your acceptance, receiving and giving affection, and love. Okay, so these are belongingness and love needs or love and belongingness. Okay. For the STEAM needs, we have prestige and feeling of accomplishment. Okay, Maslow's classified your esteem needs into categories. It could be esteem for oneself, that could include your dignity, your achievement, your mastery, and independence. And again, another one is a desire for a reputation or respect from others, and that is self-esteem needs. Okay, for example, again, is your status and prestige. Like esteem is typical to a human being. Okay, so we have the human desire to be accepted and valued by others. So that is self-esteem needs. So, diba, you have minsan we become narcissistic or a person who needs attention because we wanted to be valued, we wanted to be loved, okay? Okay. And then sometimes people often engage in a hobby, okay, a hobby or recognition, which gives you a sense of contribution or value. So that is self-esteem needs of a human being. And sometimes Maslow pointed out that if you have low self-esteem or inferiority complex, it may result from imbalances during the hierarchy. So if there's something that you have not met down there, the triangle, then you could not have self-esteem. So we have here self-actualization as the highest level of Maslow's hierarchy in needs and refer to the realization of one's potential, including creative activities. So this one, you are capable of becoming everything and you are capable of becoming, okay, or becoming everything. So individuals may perceive or focus on this need specifically. For example, if one individual may have strong desire to become an ideal parent, so that is more of a self-actualization. Okay, so that is a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We proceed to other part of the theory. So we have here the physiological needs. I have discussed this a while ago, but we have to discuss it one by one. These are the biological requirements. Again, so it composes of air, food, water, shelter, clothing, warmth, sex, and sleep. So yes, sex is one of the physiologic need of an individual. So sometimes it's very difficult for us to stop them from doing so. That sometimes even if it's not allowed, if it's a premarital, like extramarital, or fuck buddy, we call it fuck buddy in our generation, or casual sex, then we could not stop a person from doing that because it's a part of the physiologic need. Another one, if these needs are not satisfied, of course, we could not function optimally. So, mom, is that would mean sex. If we will not have, if we are not having sex, then we could not function optimally. Yes, that's why we also tell the patient to sometimes find time to masturbate, okay? And that is entirely normal for a human being to function well. Maslow's considers physiological needs the most important, as all the other needs become secondary until these needs are met. So very important that you have to at least meet your basic physiological needs before you could proceed to other needs of an individual, okay? Safety needs, okay? As an individual, I'm sorry for this one, okay? So the PowerPoint presentation is not colored well, but then again, you have to, again, the safety needs could be provided by, um, okay, it could be provided by anybody else. It could be provided by uh anybody else who could give the who would give you security, right? The laws and the rules and regulations, those are safety needs of a person. Another one again is love and belongingness. Again, it's emotional, it's interpersonal relationship, the connectedness, okay? Being a person who could connect to everyone, or examples of belongingness could be friendship, intimacy, trust, acceptance. That's why we continually seek for these things, okay? Para there is always something that is missing if we could not be feeling this way, or we are not receiving affection from the other people. We also have here esteem needs, and this is include your self-worth, the feeling of accomplishment. As what I've told you, the discussion of this is a human being who wants to feel valued at that moment. Okay. Next, and then you have here the highest Maslow's hierarchy refers to the realization of a person's potential, self-fulfillment, yung sinasabi natin kanina that you're seeking for personal growth, and again, you have the desire to accomplish everything that is possible and to become the most possible. You are proving that to yourself that you could be more, okay? You could be more. Next is the characteristic of self-actualized people. Who are this? People who already reached the end of the triangle. We have number one, they perceive the reality efficiently and can tolerate uncertainty. So parang these people are accepting the reality that not everything in this world could be controlled, and there are a lot of things that you cannot control. And these people are parang feeling ko dito na ako kasi I could tolerate whatever is in front of me, and I know that not all things in this life is controllable, and there are things that you cannot control. And when you cannot control something, you should not be feeling depressed or deprived of something. Okay, so let go of things that you could not control. Just focus on the things that are able to make you happy. Okay, so parang yung toleration of uncertainty is you are familiar that yesterday and tomorrow are not controllable, but can you hold on is the thing that is happening today. So your reality as a human being is today. Okay, so there is no point of having anxiety or ano yun, yung pagsisisi from the past. It could not be. Okay, next is accept themselves and others for what they are. So there are things na you have to accept from yourself, that you have your limitations as a human being, and that other things could be reviewed, other things could be developed na hindi mo talaga siya makukuha in time. Spontaneous in thought and action, meaning what they think or what they do is based on what they thought or what they think. Okay? So ibig sabihin, makikita mo yung integridad ng tao, kung ano yung sinasabi niya, ginagawa niya. So these are self-actualized people. They are problem-centered, not self-centered. So gone are the days that you are focusing things on your emotions. Okay? Sometimes you have to focus on how to solve the problem. And it's not about you, because the world is not yours. And these are self-actualized people. Unusual sense of humor. So sometimes they still have very unusual sense of humor because they are self-actualized. They are not sometimes the sense of humor is uh, just on top of that personality, that sometimes, yes, because they have unusual sense of humor, because they are happy of their lives. Okay, so who will give us humor? So of course those people who are contented, and these are self-actualized people. And number six, able to look at life objectively. So what you see is what you get. Again, there are things that you could not control, so you should not be with a trouble to yourself that you have to manipulate everything, and you could not just do that. Again, we are created in this world by God, I believe, to live our own lives. So you should not be controlling the other person, even your parents or even your loved ones. Hindi mo sila pag-aari. And these are self-actualized people. Okay? They are highly creative. They tend to be creative at anything. Okay? In doing household chores, at work, or even in friendships. Okay, they are resistant to enculturation, but not purposely unconventional. Okay, and then of course they have to adapt and adjust. Self-actualized people are adaptive. Okay, they are adaptive. They could still shine despite of adversity. Number nine, concern for the welfare of humanity. Parang they are focusing their efforts to whatever these efforts could do to humanity, and they're capable of deep appreciation of basic life experience. That ako, even the tricycle driver who will send me in school, I will still say thank you, because again, when you ride in a bus and then the bus was able to carry you from La Union to Manila safely, and again, that is for me a very big thing, na utang ko na doon sa driver. So I have to appreciate all those things, or those efforts that were given to me, even though if I paid for the fare. And again, this I am not saying that I am self-actualized, but I feel that some of the characteristics of these people is in me now. So matanda na talaga tayo. Behavior leading to self-actualization. So like, for example, you're experiencing life like a child with a full absorption and concentration. So these are like accepting that the fact that this is the world and there's nothing we can do with it, but we have to live our life to the fullest. Trying new things instead of sticking to safe paths. Yung parang alam mo na that will not be comfortable, alam mo na that you will not be safe, but you're still trying to have an adventure, and that is a self-actualization. Listening to your own feelings and evaluating experiences instead of the voice of tradition, authority, or the majority. So this one, you have to evaluate your experiences. How would you react? You are not basing your decision on the decision of other people, and you are not basing your decision on how other people decides for themselves when they were in the same situation. Okay, avoiding pretense or game playing and being honest. So yung mga self-actualized talaga, they are direct to the point. Okay? They are direct to the point. So whatever happens along the way, kung nafe-feel na yun talaga yun, and then they have to be very honest of that. Being prepared to be unpopular if your views do not coincide with those of the majority. So self-actualized people could just accept the fact that sometimes, or most of the time, they are not the best. Okay? And taking responsibility and working hard. So most of the time, and then they have to do their job the best way that they could, and trying to identify your defenses or having the courage to give them up if it will not work. So this self-actualized people are people who could accept the fact again that there are things in life that they could not control and they could not have. Okay. Next is you have here Kurt Lewin. Okay, Lewin's change a theory. Kurt Lewin was born in Poland in 1890. Let me just read this one. Modern pioneer in social organizational and applied psychology, professor at University of Berlin in a number of U.S. universities before becoming a director of the Center of Group Dynamics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and theories formulated in 1940s and is still in use today, referred to as the guru of organizational change theory. So who is Kurt Lewin? So we have here the Levin's golden rules for change. Kurt Lewin change theory identified several golden rules on how change should be implemented. Number one, change should only be implemented for a good reason. If the change will just aggravate a situation and um make it even or it will just aggravate the condition or the situation, then you should not be deciding for that one. Like, for example, if you will be increasing the salary, so it's for the good of the organization, of course, because when people are given more salary, um, they will work hard and the organization or the institution will benefit from that. Number two, you have change is most effective when done gradually, because an abrupt change could lead to the failure of the people to adapt, okay? And three, change should be planned and not sporadic or sudden. So change should be planned and not sporadic or sudden, meaning that it should be planned, it should be step by step as what is stated in number two, it should be done gradually. And number four, strive to include individuals who may be affected by the change as much as possible in the planning for change. So when you say strive to include individuals who may be affected by the change as much as possible in planning for the change. So you have to inform the individuals that change is being implemented or will be implemented. So ask for them to prepare themselves. Okay. Next, um, according to Kurt, motivation for change must be generated before the change could occur. So you have to tell them what is the reason of the change, what is the purpose, okay? What is the purpose of the change? So people will be motivated to adapt or adjust to the change or to do something on whatever that change may be, okay? Next is the three stages of this one. You have done freezing, the creating a sense of change is needed, and changing, you are transitioning to that desired behavior or setting this behavior as a new normal, and that's refreezing. So when you say unfreeze, you have to motivate yourself that you really have to change something. Okay, he explained that organizational change using this analogy of changing a shape, a block of, it's just like a shaping a block of ice. So that is your unfreezing. So when you say changing, okay, when you say changing, you execute the intended change. When you say what are the intended change? What are the intended modifications of a rule or regulation or an institutional policy at that? And then for refreezing, ensure that the change becomes permanent or being fully implemented. So in unfreezing, you have to tell them the reason why. Okay, you have to ask them if they're ready for the change. And if they are ready for the change, then you have to implement whatever is that change. And then you have to evaluate that this is being implemented to the institution. Okay, so that is Kurt Lewin. Levin's block of ice metaphor. Okay, let us say that you have a cube of ice, but you'd like to have a cone of ice. To transform the cube of ice, you must unfreeze. Okay, for you to be able to melt the ice and then change the mold to a cone in shape and then refreeze the water into the new desired shape. So if you wanted to refine something in the nursing profession, if you wanted to better something or an intervention, then you have to unfreeze. Okay, so if you wanted to change the situation, you have to unfreeze, and then finally changing it or implementing it for us to be able to form whatever is that change that you wanted to implement in the institution. So for the stage one for unfreezing, again, motivation is not intrinsic, so everyone must be motivated. Okay, so you could not just give them this and that and everyone will be, that's not the case. Okay, some people will be motivated for the change and some would just say, I don't like the change. And the key is to develop a compelling message or telling them or showing them the purpose of the change. And the easiest to frame when you can point something that is tangible or for example, declining revenue, poor financial results, and concerning employee or student satisfaction. Example is COVID-19. Okay, Rowan moved from business as usual to totally remote in 30 days. Sometimes the unfreeze must be quick. So these are sometimes needed, but they needed in certain situations. So that's unfreezing. And we have here what we call as force field analysis. Lewin's change model suggested a methodology for analyzing change, and he called that the force field analysis. So what is that? You have to analyze the restraining or driving forces that will affect the transition for a future state. So you have to identify the factors be that could affect the change, and then you have to assess driving or restraining force, which one is critical or are critical to involve or to address you. For example, there is something that is not permitting the change to occur, so would you have to address that? Okay, take steps to increase the critical driving forces or decrease the critical restraining forces. So you have to strengthen whatever needs to be strengthened, and you have to um weaken something that is, or weaken that force that restrains the change. An example, how can we use this process of leapfrog during the difficult time? So not only that example, but then again, how could you make a person believe that the change is necessary? So first field analysis would mean you have to restrain whatever is you have to restrain or mitigate whatever is restraining the change, and you have to work on whatever is permitting the change for us to be able to refreeze. Okay. Next is change. The change stage has focused on the solution, new ways of working. So there are goals and there are accept this, and this should be including your acceptable changes, and it should be properly planned. Okay, so you have to have communication, you have to hear from them. What you see as, for example, an institutional manager. So what are the things that you have seen up there, and what are the things that are happening in the ground, for that example. And this stage requires active stakeholder participation. Okay, so who are these stakeholders? Those people who are impacted of the change. Okay. Next is we have here common stages in a curve change. There are people who will be shocked, okay, and sometimes they are denying of something. Sometimes they are frustrated. Sometimes they are depressed. Okay, sometimes they do an experiment, and sometimes they do decisions and integration. So, they will tell you na they may just tell you that I did not look for the emails. Yeah, this is an example. Okay. So this is the stage of denial until they will have resistance, and they will have exploration of that. What is the change? And then they will be committed to implement that change. What you see for the denial is indifference, disbelief, avoidance. They will not listen from you or to you. What you hear, they will not be telling you something, but they believe that it will not happen and it will not affect you. But for resistance, they if you still, for example, telling them that the change is needed, they will be having anger, complaining, okay? They will be glorifying the past, telling you that the past interventions are far better, and they were implemented for a couple of years now, and it was proven that they are effective. And then they would just tell you it will not work, or it will just be the same, or the data might be manipulated, or there must be something wrong with the data. And when they will try to explore on that something, then they will see uh you will see that they will be energetic, or they will be participating, they will be taking the risk, of course, and um they will have that tentativeness and impatience, but then again they will start the activity without focus, and they will still believe that the change is positive, or they will have the notion of trying and what if. So ibig sabihin, they will be able to, or they will want to try whatever is that change. And then again, when you are able to do that, after the denial, resistance, and exploration, they will now be committed for the change. And then they will have the efficiency, they will have the confidence and initiative to implement whatever that change. And what you hear, they will ask you what will, or what they could contribute to the change, and let's go and get with it. Okay, next is you have here the refreezing. Okay, the refreezing stage needs to be or to help people and organization internalize or institutionalize the change. So when you say refreezing, okay, when you say refreezing, you have to measure success. So you have to evaluate. Okay, so you have to offer training to those who are struggling, or for example, there are still things that they could not understand about the change, and then um you have to deal with the new attitudes and values, of course, and then the next cycle is focusing on the evaluation of or commitment of the people for their freezing. Okay. Practical steps for using the model. Stage one for unfreezing. You have to determine what is that's something that you need to change. You have to do, of course, studies. You have to do to understand why is this happening. And you have to be very sure that something will support you. Okay. Or someone is supporting you from the senior management kasi even though your plans are better than what is happening now, and if the management is not supporting you, then you could not do anything else. And then frame the issue as one of the organization wide importance, and then you have to create the need for a change. And of course you have to have that very strong purpose or justification for conducting the change, and you have to communicate the vision in terms of the change required. So again, you have to be very clear of what is the purpose of that change, and then you have manage and understand the doubts and concerns of the people who are um affected by that change. Okay. Next is stage two. You have to communicate, of course. When you will communicate, of course, you have to tell them what are your plans and what could be some of the changes of the implementation and the benefits of the people for that change. And you have to um prepare them that they will be affected with that change. And then you have to dispel rumors, okay? So answer questions openly and honestly. You have to go straight to the point and deal with problems quickly so that the change will be implemented as quick as possible, and relate the need for change back to operational necessities. So you have to find the congruency of that change to the benefit of to the possible benefit of the institution. And for empowering, empower action, provide lots of opportunity for employee involvement. So you have to involve the employee. You have to tell them, you have to prove to them that they will be a part of the involvements. Okay. But for refreezing, you have to anchor changes into the culture, something that could be congruent to what is the culture. Kasi if your change is something that could be against the culture, then culture will be one of the factors that could affect the change and the implementation per se. Okay, develop ways to sustain the change. Of course, you have to have a leadership support. You have to be particular with the person or the person in possession to help you to have the refreezing or the implementation of the plan, and then provide support and training to keep everyone informed and supported, and then celebrate success. But there are, of course, in every theory, there is always a criticism. For Lemon's change model, the main criticism is it's quaint and simple for the modern era of constant or rapid change. And then again, of course, they will ask you, isn't the unfreeze, change and reprise model too simplistic for today's rapidly changing world? Because we believe that everyone is unique and every change now is inevitable. The refreeze stage is in particular implies a great deal of time is spent establishing the new status quo. Does that work in a fast-paced society? So parang sinasabi nila that being stagnant in that refreezing stage could not really be helping the institution, because again, the society is uh, changing so fast. Okay. Levin's model is sometimes criticized as being linear without even considering for emotional life of people as they journey through change. So they will just tell or they will just criticize Levin's as, like, for example, parang ano sinasabi nila na etong model na to, it is not very specific or pointing. It is not really thinking of what the people could feel from the implementation of change. But then again, you have to, part of the theory is before you implement the change, you have to prepare them for the change. And of course, there is always a procedure of explaining the purpose of the change. So that's the end of the week 16 for TFN. Thank you and goodbye.